Blizzard is under quite a bit of criticism at the moment. And even as we were loading
understatement of the year.
A bit of hot water.
Blizzard has offended a couple of people. And even as we were preparing to do the show, you guys were sharing information that I hadn't seen yet. So basically what happened is oh my goodness, I typed something, did not save. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, so I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from an article on Polygon called Hearthstone Player Calls for Hong Kong's Liberation in Post-Game Interview by Nicole Carpenter. And that article says, quote, on Sunday, Hong Kong-based Hearthstone professional player Chung Blitzchung I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Yung Wei gave a post-match interview at the Hearthstone Grandmasters tournament wearing protester-style goggles and face mask. He declared, quote, liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time, end quote, a leading slogan of Hong Kong's demonstrations against the Chinese government, end quote. Later in the article, it says, quote, as you know, there are serious this is a quote of Blitzchung. Blitzchung says, quote, as you know, there are serious protests in my country now. My call on stream was just another form of participation of the protests that I wish to grab more attention. I put so much effort in that social movement in the past few months that I sometimes couldn't focus on preparing my Grandmaster match. I know what my action on stream means. It could cause me a lot of trouble, even my personal safety in real life, but I think it's my duty to say something about the issue, end quote. And so if you've been living under a rock, there are a lot of protests happening in Hong Kong right now relating to some extradition laws that they're trying to push through. It's going to cause China to have a lot more power in Hong Kong than it needs to. A lot of people are protesting, really fighting for democracy. Really crazy. I'm super impressed by their bravery. And I'm glad that Blitzchung spoke up and said something and used his platform to draw more attention to this. But someone who was not pleased that Blitzchung did this was Blizzard. And so they freaking nuked this guy. They suspended him for a year and took some of his earnings from his wins away. People were pretty upset by this. And so there are people pushing for a boycott of Blizzard. So here we are. BlizzCon is only a month away, I think. BlizzCon is right on the horizon. And Blizzard fans are pretty upset by this, and it's obvious why Blizzard did this. They've got a big market in China. They've got a lot to lose. But what are your initial reactions to this story?
I don't think we're going to differ too much in how we view Blizzard in this situation. I think something interesting that happened at the time of the stream was the fact that, first of all, the casters who were leading the interview got visibly uncomfortable when he started talking about Hong Kong and tried to sink down underneath their desk, and they started laughing, but it seemed like nervous laughter of we're not sure how to handle this situation. But as soon as it happened, the feed got cut as well, and they went to a commercial break, which leads me to believe that what we're seeing from Blizzard is not a reaction to what Blitzchung said, as much as it was just a standard they already had in place that said, if something like this were to happen, this is what we're going to do. That's how quickly it moved on the stream. And I think that speaks even more volumes to the shittiness of Blizzard in this situation. That and Blizzard is not the only one who's been caught up in controversy in regards to Hong Kong this week. There's been a lot of news around the NBA, who one of their owners tweeted out his support of the Hong Kong protesters, and the NBA, who's been making big moves over the last few years to cut through the market and find a place in China, made him delete it, released this kind of neutered version in English, but in China it essentially was we're sorry for this inappropriate and offensive tweet that this owner said. a bunch of backlash for them. So this is something that I believe most broadcast organizations right now are navigating internally. Riot also, with Worlds going on right now, Hong Kong Attitude is one of the teams that's participating in it. They pre-taped the post-game interview with a player from Hong Kong Attitude before. It wasn't really it was on a delay. It was like a 3-minute delay for the English stream, and we're just seeing this shitty reaction from Blizzard and from other corporations where China's a huge market with a shitload of money, and they don't want to cross them because it's going to impact their wallet. And so that was obviously my first reaction, was how shitty of Blizzard to care first and foremost about the bottom line before the atrocities that are happening here in the noble fight that the people of Hong Kong are participating in.
It's also just kind of another example of something that people have been consistently pointing out about Blizzard. Primarily that there's a seeming hypocrisy to the values that they profess, yet the actions that they take around their games. And it was kind of brought to the forefront when it was tweeted out earlier today. A Blizzard employee tweeted out a photo of the front steps of Blizzard's HQ that has a large statue of an orc from Warcraft, surrounded by plaques that have the company's values on them. And two of those values are think globally and all voices matter. And both of those were covered up with large pieces of paper by Blizzard employees who were very displeased by the actions taken by the company that employs them. And people have been pointing this out about their actions around or lack of actions around Overwatch, and kind of their willingness to put up with toxicity while their players are getting harassed, and also just about how they've been representing characters in the game. So I think this ties into a lot of things that are happening right now, both within Blizzard and within the world outside of Blizzard, and it's supremely disappointing, particularly as you both of you have said, based on the really valiant actions that these protesters are taking, willing basically to sacrifice their livelihoods and lives for this cause that is extremely worth fighting for.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. One is, if you are going to make money off of these players, I don't think that it's right for you to stipulate what they can use their platform to say. And I recognize that that's in the realm of opinion, and a corporation can do whatever a corporation wants to do. But I just think it's real slimy for me to be like, hey, come play. I'm gonna be streaming this video of you playing. I'm gonna make money off of that, and keep your mouth shut. Just do what I tell you to do, and stick to the script in the interviews. I just
play basketball.
Yeah, yeah. Second, I mean, there's no denying, it's obvious that the reason for this decision was for Blizzard to protect their bottom line. And something that stuck with me years ago, I support an organization called International Justice Mission. Not a lot. I'm not very rich, but I send some money there from time to time. And what they do is they help. They aim to eliminate modern day slavery, which is still a huge problem. And I remember listening to one of the guys from International Justice Mission talk about American slavery and how one of the big pushbacks to eliminating slavery back then is one of the big pushbacks to eliminating slavery today. Like because we still have a lot of products that are based on the exploitation of human labor. And most people don't want to address that issue because it would be very costly to our economy. And I remember that guy saying the right thing matters more than you having to pay extra. And that's how this situation feels to me. Doing the right thing ought to matter more than your bottom line. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you as a CEO, as a board member, as someone running a corporation, can sleep at night knowing that that you decided to join in on the side of the oppressor to make some extra money. It just disgusts me.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also want to point out, just for specific context here, the rule that Blizzard applied.
Yeah, this is important to address
in the in their ruling here. So this is from the official Hearthstone Grandmasters rules. I'm taking this from an article on Kotaku. Let me make sure. This is Luke Plunkett reporting on this. So the rule is, quote, engaging in any act that in Blizzard's sole discretion brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image, will result in removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize total to $0 US dollars. In addition to other remedies which may be provided for under the handbook and Blizzard's website terms, end quote. I want to bring that up because when I read that rule, it reads like a rule that's supposed to be applied to situations where somebody says something racist, homophobic, misogynistic, not when somebody takes a political stance with something. So I feel like this rule because the corporate apologists who can honestly just go fuck themselves in this situation are like, well, Blizzard's just following their rules, they're applying their rules, and it's like, but are they? This seems like such a vaguely worded rule with such an obvious intent that's being very broadly applied to a situation that I don't believe was the actual heart of the intention of the rule when it was written.
It also calls attention to the fact that Blizzard leapt on the chance to suspend this player while it took them so long to deal with what was his name on the Uprising, Dreamcasper.
Well, the Dreamcasper thing went pretty. It was a little slower, but that went pretty quickly. But I think about guys like XQC, other individuals who have been in those kinds of situations. Yeah, it runs totally counter to everything we've seen from Blizzard before. That it took almost zero consideration for them to do this.
Yeah, and I want to bring a little bit of personal context into this. I'm in another Discord with a bunch of my friends from back home in Boston, all of whom, most of whom play World of Warcraft or Hearthstone. We had a very spirited conversation this morning. And this kind of goes to your point, Larry. We had a very spirited conversation this morning about at what point you're willing to stop investing in a piece of culture, a piece of pop culture based on the actions of the parent company. Capitalism almost automatically runs on the disconnect between your attachment to something based on the fact that you want it or think that you need it and what is actually right. Those two things often run counter to each other. It's why we're willing to just glide over a lot of the misbehaviors of a company like Nike and continue buying their products, or iPhones, or pretty much any product that's built on the backs of poorly paid workers, anything like that. And all of my friends were having a very earnest conversation this morning about the fact that they are seriously considering pulling their subscriptions from WoW. Do you know how much it takes to pull someone away from WoW? A game seemingly designed, and most of my friends have been playing this game since it started, for upwards of 10, 15 years. The shockwave this has sent through Blizzard's community has been actually a lot more seismic than I thought it would be, considering we have seen in the past so many corporate apologists come forward, and I'm sure there are tons of them still out there. We saw them coming out of the woodworks for this, but it's been kind of impressive, may not be the right word, but certainly startling to see the amount of people who this is the line in the sand they've drawn. And it's a line worth drawing, but it sort of begins to call into question, like, once you make that decision, which company do you continue to give money to?
Yeah,
Because last week, Gearbox is no better. All of these companies kind of crunching their employees are no better. Obviously, these are degrees of action and kind of severity of action. But I just on a positive note, I've been kind of empowered to see the fact that a lot of Blizzard fans have come out in such numbers to oppose what's happening right now, and actually taking financial action to do so, which is what needs to happen in order for change to happen.
Yeah, and Overwatch Contenders Gauntlet's going on right now as well for Blizzard, and I tuned in, and just the chat, everybody was copy and paste this Pong to free Hong Kong with a bunch of ping pong paddles in classic Twitch,
of course,
Twitch fashion. But yeah, it's the ripple effects are being felt throughout.
Yeah, and the employees are obviously not happy with it as well. It's one of those crappy situations where I hate that this could put some squeeze on the employees, but I gotta, I'm considering my own attachments to these games right now and whether I want to go on supporting Blizzard if they don't correct course really soon. But I love rebellion and very creative ways of sticking it to the man. And so the last thing I kind of want to share here is a story that just warms my heart as one who is pleased by such things. So China tends to ban characters that they find offensive. An example of that is the president of China was associated with Winnie the Pooh, so anything featuring Winnie the Pooh banned in China. And so when Blizzard reacted in this way, some fans have decided that not only is Mei Bei, but she is now also the new face of the protesters. And so Mei has been getting just put into all kinds of artwork, stylized as a protester, as a symbol of the protests. And the aim of that, the goal behind that is to get Overwatch banned in China, which would be pretty
creative.
Blizzard.
I'm going to be honest, I hadn't opened this. I'm showing them on stream if you're watching the video. These are hilarious.
Some of the photoshops are great.
Yeah, these are awesome.
And also great because she is a Chinese character, so she's kind of that's one of the characters they become most attached to.
Yeah. So
go retweet these. Open this Polygon article and retweet these.
Yeah, the Polygon article is it's also by Nicole Carpenter, and it's called "Protesters Are Trying to Get Overwatch Banned in China Using Memes of Popular Hero Mei."
And as always, every article we use is linked in the description of the video, so you guys can go read these. I also want to bring up a tweet from from Imran Khan, who is also apparently the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Who'd have known? But he, the former Game Informer news editor, who is now a co-host of Kind of Funny Games Daily, tweeted out today. He said, "Talk to a friend that works Nintendo customer service, says that they have been getting, quote, a surprising number, end quote, of requests to cancel Overwatch pre-orders. Probably a drop in the bucket, but interesting to hear." Also, were you guys aware that Blizzard has at least been issuing a response to people who have reached to outlets that have been reaching out to them?
I am not.
Okay, it's very robust and very detailed. We'll get to really see the intentions of Blizzard here. Blizzard is assessing the situation for now.
All right.
Thoughts?
Hard stance. Real hard stance.
We're trying to figure out which of these paths is going to cost us more money.
Actually, translation is, we're hunkered down hoping that this all blows over.
Yeah.
And so don't let
we're hoping someone else fucks up in the meantime.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Let somebody else take the news cycle for us.
On the politics subreddit today, I was reading just an exchange about how disappointing it is in the current setting. That if you've got enough power and money, all you've got to do is survive the news cycle, and then your crime goes away.
Yeah,
this isn't a crime, but it is a wrong. That they're right. If people stop paying attention, it'll all go away.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say about that. I don't know if you guys want to add anything else, but
no, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this next week as a form of update too.
Yeah.